Welcome to Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I am Dan O'Day along with Steve Romano. Hey, Steve.
How's it going, Dan?
Very good. We just had a draft in Las Vegas, didn't we?
Our big annual auction draft.
The Money League. We've been doing it now 16 years in Vegas over 18-year period. And
Yeah,
it was grand. Grand. Roto
it
League.
was another. Yeah, we had Roto League, 10 teams. So some people would say that's a shallow league, and it is, but it's 30-man rosters, so 300 players, and there's a minor league slot, and then there's three injury slots. So you can really get like 330 players kept easily taken off the field. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's two catcher with corner and middle infielder, two outfielders. And, that expands the starting lineup also. So we do go pretty deep. We go 300 in plus minor leaguers. So actually could be 310. And it was a fun draft. And we're going to go over our thoughts on the 2025 Draftmasters draft held at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas. Go to the Golden Nugget if you're ever in Vegas and bring up the Draftmasters, and you'll get 0% off. So, so Steve, a couple. What are your thoughts overall on the draft, and then we can go through pick by pick and or just expensive ones.
sure, I thought I thought it went good. I thought it was smooth. We got a nice early start. Everybody was ready to go. There was no, I guess there was a few little technical glitches at the beginning, but nothing significant. And I thought there wasn't much shenanigans this year. Like, no one was you know, imbibing too much or anything. It seemed like everybody was with their wits throughout the whole thing.
With their wits and in good enough spirits, also.
Yes.
And we flew in our auctioneer from the East Coast to call the game. His name's Chuck. Chuck did a great job.
Yeah, normally he just drives out from Cali and we weren't sure he was going to make it because he moved home to do some family business stuff, I think, on the East Coast. And um,
That's how it worked out.
yeah, it was
Well,
amazing that he came in and did it.
it was amazing and it was a good draft. So let's talk about some of the picks that surprised you or went over. I mean, the first person nominated, it's a nomination thing. You have your fob, as I call it, or they don't call it fob. We call it I call it fob. They call it fave, don't they?
I guess it's just your draft budget, really.
Yeah, but I like calling it fob. I've heard other people pronounce it differently. But we have a fob, we have
Oh,
a
Fob,
budget,
yeah, yeah.
and we have, we all have keepers. Most of us kept six people, five, or a couple teams kept five people. And so you have a certain amount of money to work with. The first person nominated was Freddie Freeman, and he went for what I think he probably should have gone for, $30.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, he went for he went for 30. My sheet, I had him formulated at 32, so
There you
30's right on target.
right on target. Who bid 29?
Zach bid 29.
Zach was in all the way up to 30, but at 31 was too
Zach
much. Baldy got him.
Zach's been a Freeman guy. Yeah, Zach's been a Freeman guy though. He's had him several years,
Yeah.
and I think he bid $40 on him last year and got him, didn't he? It was close. It was around there.
Well, just to let
So
you
I'm kind
know,
of
I'm going to jump ahead in this conversation of the flow. Speaking of Zach, he then got Olson for 25.
interesting.
8 picks
Yes,
later, 8 picks later, he got Olson for 25, but he wouldn't go 31 on Freeman. So he didn't want to go too high, but he had a lot of money. So that's just
I
interesting. That's
had
eight. Yeah. Who had last pick? Can you go down a little? Who had 24
yeah,
on
I see
Olson?
it all. Rick.
Rick went
Rick
24 on Olson.
Rick went to 24 and also Zach got him for 25. My sheet had him at 22.
Okay.
So Zach pretty much, and I really like I run my sheet, I tweak it. I'm like, oh fuck no. Like I know my league. I'm like, there's no way those guys are going for that. And I just keep adjusting things until I see numbers and I'm like, that looks like the type of league I'm in, you
Right.
know?
Right. You figure out
And
the league.
and so yeah, by me tweaking, I had Freeman for 32 and I had Olson for 22. So that's 54. And Zach got them both for what? Oh no, he didn't get the other one was Chris. Never mind. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were both right on target. Those
so
first basemen are right on target.
Baldy got Freeman for 30, then Olsen went for 25. To me, also, I don't have an exact number. I have a range. That seems like the right range for me. The second nomination, I don't know who nominated Schwarber. Was that you?
I nominated him.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
at first, I thought, oh, you jerk. This is going to go expensive. You're trying to get some money off the board. But
yeah,
I ended up going for 18. I got it for 18. And in hindsight, I'm pretty happy with the $18 for Schwarber.
yeah. I had him at 24. 18's a great deal.
Who went to
I
17?
mean, Garrett.
Garrett bid 17. I bid 18 and got him. And I was very pleased with that. Then Scuba went for 37.
Yeah.
37. Scubo. Yeah, Zach got who bid 36?
Let's see. Jump over to my pitching sheet here. Scooble at 37, which, believe it or not, I mean, my sheet, my sheet had him at 45.
Whoa. Wow.
Like,
That
as far as value, like my sheet
absolutely.
does project him for a 10.4 K per nine, 2.90 ERA, a 1.00 whip, 174 innings, 201 Ks, 13 wins. And it says that's worth $45.
Well, based on the keepers kept and who was left in the league to draft, I would say he was the top pitcher available.
He was. He was easily like the most expensive pitcher available for me on my sheet, and then he ended up being the most expensive pitcher in the draft.
37. I think that's about right range. 45 is a little high to me, but I guess that's what he's worth. But I think 37 to 40 seems really reasonable for a guy who's going to give you what he's going to give you. Um,
And
yeah.
Garrett went to 36.
Garrett went to 36. So that's back to back players. Garrett was the second last bid.
Yeah, he was in early on those bids.
Wow, interesting. Schwarber and Scooble, he comes up in second place, gets neither. And then Robles was nominated. I don't know who nominated him, but Tommy got him for 10.
Who?
Wasn't it Robles?
Oh, right. Yeah, the Mariner guy, right?
Right. The Mariner guy. Where do you live again?
I just, I mean, I know he had a feel good time last year, but I don't know about betting on that continuing in this ballpark. But
What did
yeah,
your
I
sheet
mean,
have him for?
$8.
Okay, he went for 10,
So,
so that's about what you guesstimated, close to it.
and
Listen, he's going to play.
it hasn't projected for 44 stolen bases. You
Exactly.
think that's possible?
I believe 35 plus is possible. 44 seems
Huh.
extreme, but he had 31 last year without looking. I'm pretty sure. Um, so I think without a doubt, those bigger bags, man. I'm telling you, adds 10 stolen bases on.
That's true.
It's true. It just is. I could have 20 stolen bases. I'm still fast. And then Carroll went for 32, maybe one of the best hitters left. $32 to Mike. Who was the set? Who went to 31?
Chris.
Chris went to 31. Mike got Carroll for 32. I think that's a good buy. I think he was going for like mid 30s, wasn't he?
Yeah, mine had him at 33.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good get. Then Chapman was nominated for $7.
Matt Chapman, was that Matt Chapman?
Yeah.
That seemed weird.
Yeah, well, Eddie loved me saying this over and over, but he had a great spring, which, as we know, means nothing. But he really did, and he is an established player. Has hit 20 homers, driven in 80 runs,
Oh,
batted 260.
oddly enough, I mean, or whatever, my sheet had him at $8, so $7 is perfect.
There you go. Look at that. Look at that. And then look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I guess did I nominate Castillo? Because I'd be this. No, I'd be the eighth guy. No, I guess I did seventh. No. Um, I don't know who I nominated, but Castillo was nominated. You ended up getting him for 13, which I think is a heck of a deal.
Yeah, my sheet had him at 19. I know his metrics are
His metrics
trending
are
downward.
they're going backwards. Yeah, they're not going up. But I think he's still
But
serviceable. I think he's still good for 8+ strikeouts per nine, and I think he'll be fine. I think for $13, that's well worth it. I don't know. Do you know? Do you have who nominated the people?
No, I don't.
Then Anthony
By the way,
went.
Rick bid $12 on Castillo, and I got him for
Ooh,
13.
thank you. Yeah, see, I always enjoy that tidbit of information. Who was the second last person to bid? He went to 12. He wouldn't go to 14. Anthony then was nominated by
Roman
some.
Anthony?
Yeah, man, this early in the draft.
That
One,
was
two.
Tom. Because I'm looking at Tom is the winner of the bid, and under lose I just typed in freeze. So that means Tom nominated him for 10 and got him for 10.
Wow. So by the way, I forgot we go from winner first. So I nominated Scooble after you nominated Schwarber. So Tom Freeze bid Anthony $10. I mean, okay. I mean, it's a guy he could have got for 4 or 5, maybe, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but like those types of prospects, I mean, and Mike did explain it good at the draft. He was awesome when he's like, yeah, but that's for this year. It's not about that. And holding and keepers with the $5 inflation, and you can control a guy's rights for only 15 more dollars for 3 years. You're like, okay, I get it. Because you could
Absolutely.
have him for 10 and then 15 and then 20 and then 25, and he's still going to be worth it all those fucking years if he turns out
To what they
the
think.
best way he could turn out.
Yeah,
You right?
I do
But
agree.
in and of itself, when my sheet says a guy's worth like -$20, I don't see how you can. I don't see how you can nominate him with an opening bid of 10. I just don't.
Freeze bid $10. Well done. Olson was next nominated. Zach got it for 25. Who bid 24?
That was Rick.
Rick. As we already talked about this a little.
Yep.
Uh, let's just go a few more downs, a few high people. We can start skipping around. We're not going to go through every pick.
No,
Tucker for 43 went to Hunter. Who bid 42 on Tucker?
Chris.
Chris went up to 42. He was
And la-
second. Yeah, that's interesting.
and last year Zach got him for 47.
43. Hunter gets an ex-home player of his favorite team, but now with the Cubs, I think he'll be fine. 43 seems to be what he was going for. I would have high 30s would have been, but 38 to 42 seems about right for me.
Yeah, my sheet has him at 42.
Yeah, 30. Yeah. So I mean, 43 is fine. Soto went next, and I love that. I love that we're like, let's get this over with. Um, if we're gonna do Tucker,
Rick
let's do
gets
Soto.
Soto.
Yeah,
Soto's been on my team the whole
46.
fucking time. This is
46.
his first time not being on the big time moonshots.
Now, what you could have kept him for
47.
47. So he went for 46, which is about right. Rick got him.
And my
Who bid him for 45?
Eddie bid him for 45. But my
For,
sheet only had him for 36.
what? Seven
Yeah,
stolen
it has
bases.
that it's the stolen bases because I mean just looking off my projections, it's kind of like, oh, it projects Soto for 110 runs.
Yeah.
It projects Tucker for 101. It projects home run Soto 33, Tucker 32. RBI Soto 101, Tucker 98, and then stolen bases 8 for Soto, 20 for Tucker. And then it only projects him for a 282 batting average, and it projects Tucker for 297.
He's worth it. I mean, if Tucker's worth 43, Soto 46 isn't outrageous to me. You
No,
know,
no, not at all. I
not at
mean,
all.
he
Especially
not
with
at
those
all.
new
He's been one of
bats. I'm sure, New York's
you.
New York. I'm sure the Mets are
Yeah,
going to get some.
no way. If there's any one team the Yankees wouldn't share with, it would be the Mets first, probably.
I'm pretty sure anyone could design them. I'm
They'd
sure.
probably fucking give away secrets to the Red Sox before they'd give them to the Mets.
I don't think it's that much of a secret. Um, so, like, what are they doing? This is amazing. I can't figure it out. Valdez, and this is nice. It's nice when some of the big players go early. I like it. They usually do. This first, 20 or so. Valdez for 21. Eddie got him. I believe that's his first player gotten. $21. Who bid 20 on Valdez?
Rick.
Rick. So didn't Eddie bid 45 on Soto?
And yes, he did.
So they just switched it up there. Eddie went to 45 on Soto. Rick got him for 46. Rick went to 20 on Valdez. Eddie got him for 21. Nice. Little fun
And my
stuff there.
he's another one. There's like 4 or 5 pitchers at my sheet, maybe like 6 or 7. They really have them ranked fucking high value wise. Scooble was the one. Obviously, it's the 45, and that's fucking high. My sheet has Valdez at $39,
That's
and
outrageous.
fucking and Valdez. So to get him for 21,
I'm just
I
going to
mean,
say it
yeah,
now, Steve, because going forward, I think I'm going to notice it more. Your sheet is high on pitchers.
yeah.
um,
Well, like I said, these top ones, it is for sure.
for sure. Well, Valdez for 21. Listen, to me, that seems about right. I would say anywhere from 19 to like, low 20s. He's probably worth up to 30s, to be honest with you, in a lot of drafts. Eddie getting him for 21, I think, is a good deal, and it's a good pitcher to
I
get.
think just scanning up and down the innings pitched column, it looks like it has him to be like one of the top 3 innings pitched guys of the year.
Yeah, he eats innings. As you know, I've had him the last 2 years, maybe three, and
Oh,
I could have kept him for, I don't know, 15 or 20. You can look it up maybe quickly, um, but I didn't, and I like
yep.
Framber, but who bid 20?
Rick.
Wow, so there's three players in a row. It got to the end of Rick and Eddie, Rick and Eddie, Rick and Eddie. Oh no, that's the second one. Acuna went next for 31 to Mike.
That was kind of high.
When's he coming back? I mean, that's the question. When's he coming back? I mean, to me, that seems about right. High 20s, I think, would have been a better deal. But who bid? Who
Yeah,
bid
I
the
mean,
last second to last bid?
Eddie.
Eddie on a lot, right? A lot of these second last bids here. He's out till May 1st. I don't know if that's on
Yeah.
target. That's what it says. Yeah.
So miss
It
a
says
month and missed about
early
30
to mid
games.
May. Early to mid May. I'm reading now. So, but early to mid. So that's a lot. 31. He's a good guy to get. He's going to run less, which means he'll only have 30 or 40 stolen bases. So, um,
And I could easily see Mike keeping him for 36 next year,
if he's back to what he did, absolutely, he'd be worth 36, 100%. I can see
for
that
sure.
also.
Yeah.
And Mike also has some young, low price players to go along with that. Then Simeon went for 6 to Chris.
Simeon for 6.
Seems a little
Marcus
low.
Simeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my bargains, kind of, because my sheet had him at $14.
Yeah, he's double digit. I mean, yeah, I agree. I could have had him for something, I forget, whatever, maybe about double digits, but 9 or
Oh,
so.
yours would have been close to like 20 or something.
Yeah, it was higher. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't remember. Once I get rid of him, I forget. I gotta make room.
But it
And
says, it says he could get 100 runs, 20 homers, 77 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, hit 251.
well, that's the
So to
thing.
get
He
that for
could.
$6, that's fucking well, sure. And he
Well, no.
usually did until last year, right?
Last year was and it killed me last year having him. It was just tough because you're always fighting that average, and when you got a guy who's getting 650 at bats, batting 237,
Right. Yeah.
and also, I mean, just it doesn't affect our league, but his on base percentage was 308. I mean, so as a player, he was stinky, and you're just playing for those runs and homers, basically. I mean, 74 ribbies is nice, but you can get that out of some fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
But the year before, he
But
batted
regardless, for
276.
$6,
Oh,
for six dollars,
steal,
deal.
totally worth
And
the
once
try.
again, even though we're dealing with a lower priced person or player, Eddie was second again.
And he's
Eddie bid
second again.
5.
Wow. So Eddie just coming up to that second to last bid a lot. Semi is
I know,
34, by
I
the
know.
way. 34 years
He's
old.
34. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
So
just wondering.
sure.
So Eddie really, and that's frustrating a lot of times when you do that, when you're coming up to that second to last bid, and for whatever reason, you're saying to, even though it's early and you got this money, you're thinking to yourself, I can't spend that extra more, I won't go to 14. I did 12. I'm not going to, you just won't do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Don't you
No, it's
find yourself like you
yeah.
wanting to bid, but you just stop yourself? Nope.
You're like, I want that guy. I want that guy. No, now he's out. I'm out.
Now that whole dollar more, forget about it. We all do it. It's very frustrating. The in the moment
Well,
thing.
you do have to draw the line somewhere, though.
Yep.
So it's always like when we say like, oh, we can't go that $1, $2 more, but yeah, but that line's happening at some point. So you can always say that
Right. And that
rhetorically.
line's different for all of us, based on who
Yeah.
we have and how much money we have and our perspective on the player. Next one, Ozuna. As we've talked about in discussion, as you know, I wanted him and I got him for 17. It seems like a decent deal.
It does seem like a decent deal. I mean, yeah, and you bid 17. Hey, guess who finished second?
Who? Eddie.
Eddie. Yes,
Wow.
Eddie
Wow.
went for 16.
Wow. That is crazy.
I
Wow.
mean, I know damn well he's going to say I was just bidding everybody up, but I don't buy that. He's in on all these fucking guys.
Yeah, well, good for him. But he's drawing that line.
Exactly. He has his own line. I don't have a problem with that. But I
No.
mean, well, I didn't even, I just don't have the money. I didn't have the money to be in on as many players. But if you have the money and good players are getting nominated, why not fucking be in on the bids?
And he had a decent amount of money left, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, it's tough. You draw that line like we were just saying, but this is a lot of lines he's drawn. Um, Zuna for 17. Yeah, I'm stoked about it. My first two guys I got it was Sharber and Azuna. So I was like, okay, well, I should have some power. Um, O'Neill Cruz went next to Zach. He's playing out center field, I think, this year, not shortstop, but he's eligible both for 22. Who bid 21 on Cruz?
Um, and I was in on him for a while too, but I really didn't have the money to pay more than $20 for anybody. At least so I thought. But then I think I left $18 on the table at the end of the draft. So what do I know?
Yeah, and
But yeah, but at
he's
the
good.
yeah, if I in hindsight, like I should have went higher and stayed in, but I was like in there towards the end, and then it was Zach and Tom, and Zach got him for 22.
Yeah, he's good. He's a natural. I mean, there's always a letdown after such a good. I mean, that was really his first full season last year, wasn't it? So, but he's worth
My
22.
my sheet had him at 18,
Yeah, I mean, a
and
few over the sheet, but to me that makes sense. It's fine.
and um, it has him projected to be a 25-25 guy, which is awesome, right?
Yeah,
But it also has him projected to be a 75-75 guy. That's not that awesome.
that's not. That's not. What's his average projected at?
257.
Which is doable nowadays. Hopefully it's higher. 260s would be better. And then we got to go to this guy. We'll start skipping around soon, but this guy, I mean, we're going in order. Once again, at this point, I don't know who nominated, but Naylor was nominated. I could have had him for, pennies to the amount he went for. He went for $28 to Zach.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of the bigger overbids early. Um, for me, my sheet had him at $16,
17,
and he
60,
went
yeah.
for and he had him for 28.
who,
Um,
who, who
Tom,
had 27? Tom
Tom,
again.
Tom was in. A lot of
Tom,
activity there at the top. Like if you look at just if I just rapid fire going through the highest bid winners, right?
right,
And I don't. I'm just going to tell you these are the losers. These are the people who finished second
right.
on the highest bids. It's like Eddie, Chris, Steve, Chris, Eddie, Zach, Tom, Tom, Eddie, Mike, Rick, Eddie, Garrett, Hunter, Tom, Zach, Garrett, Zach, Eddie, Eddie.
Wow.
Then for you, Dan, Dan, Dan,
Wow.
Steve, Rick, Tom, Tom. So Mike, no, Eddie and Tom, and I guess those would be the main two. Yeah, Eddie and Tom finished second as far as like the top 20 bids go.
Absolutely, and they were very active. We'll jump to that as Dan then. Naylor for 28 is high. Who bid 27? It was Tom, you said. Contreras for
Yep.
15 to G. Who bid 14 on Contreras?
Wilson Contreras, Rick.
Rick, 14 bid. Harris for
And he was the
15.
guy I
Yeah,
wanted
I
to,
wanted him. Yeah, I
but
wanted.
my, yeah, we know first base DH eligibility, all that stuff. And, but my speed had him at 5. So once it got past $10, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into the double digits for him. I already had Salvi Perez, so I'm looking for a second catcher. But I like having good
Oh,
catchers.
right. Yeah.
I like having good catches. So then after Contreras, Harris went for 15 to Chris.
I was in on that. I went to 14.
Nice. Harris was one of the better overall players left, really, at that point. We're getting a little
Yep.
thinner down here.
And it's he's shown to be a very hot and cold type of guy, right? He has
Absolutely.
months where you're just like, holy fuck. Then he has other months where you're like, am I benching this dude?
Yeah, I'm not in on him. You went to 14. Chris got him for 15. Uh,
And
then
my sheet had him at 17.
and then this was one of the first blunders of the draft. Cam Smith was nominated. That was the blunder. Um,
Yeah.
and he was nominated by Hunter, I think, for $3, if I remember. I don't have that down, but my memory serves me correct. And he ended up going to $15. Who bid for 14? Tom?
Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. And when Tom went to 14, I'm sitting next to Hunter. I'm kind of like, I mean, I'm not saying it, but I'm looking at him kind of like, let him have him.
Yeah.
Let this guy let him get stuck with Cam Smith and Roman Anthony. What do you like? Let him. I don't know what he's doing. $24 on Cam Smith and Roman Anthony, but nope. Then Hunter comes in over the top and fucking $15 for Cam Smith.
He
Oh,
literally, we flew in together from Burbank to Vegas, and waiting at the airport, he said to me, "Think I'm going to get my guy?" I'm like, "Who's like Cam Smith?" I'm like, "Oh," and I told him, I said, "Don't," I'm pretty sure I said, "Don't nominate him. Just wait." I mean, people know about him, but wait. And he didn't do that. Because I remember saying to him at the draft, I told you to wait. Albies for 8 to Hunter. So back to back guys he gets. Albies for 8 is a good, decent get, I think. My goodness, right?
yep. And Eddie finished second at 7.
Wow, again. Turner for 29. Trey went for 29. Baldy got him. Chris got him. And who went to 28?
Tom went to 28.
Interesting. Wow, Tom, very
And
active.
my sheet had him at 24.
So he a little higher than projected. Seager, then I think I said, well, let's just get this over with. And I think I nominated Seager. I could be wrong, but I ended up getting him for 26. Who went to
And
25? Mike.
Mike went to 25. And my sheet has him at 19.
Wow, only.
I think it's because ultimately, well, it's like he's an 80-80 guy with 30 home runs, they're projecting, and 0 stolen bases.
Right. Right.
And I told you, I
It
mean,
is
that's why
true.
I was like, the Schwarber, Ozuna, Corey Seager thing for you, I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm not. I'm going to be fine. I have RAS. I'm just kidding. Um, for
I
stolen
forgot
bases,
about that
I'm just kidding. That's for average, and he's on my bench.
guy.
No, I'll be fine with stolen bases, especially because I decided I'm probably going to play Garcia of Kansas City a lot, who hit another
Right.
home run today, believe it or not. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, he doesn't hit a lot of homers. Like, oh, he's got two already. So okay, so I think I'll be fine with stolen bases. We'll go that in the next segment over our teams for sure. But I think 26 is decent for Seager. Last 2 years, 33 home runs in 23, 30 home runs in 24. But yeah, 88 and 96 and 68 and 74. So you really are not paying for top of the line. I didn't want to go to 26 on Seager. I don't know. It really was one of those moments where after I got him, I was like, okay. Like, like I wasn't really, he was on my list of guys I wouldn't mind getting, but I didn't think I would go to 26 for Seeker, but apparently I did.
You did.
But I'm
And,
not
and
unhappy
that's
with
not
it.
awful,
No,
obviously. No,
it's,
there's nothing
yeah,
wrong with it.
absolutely. But I think, but I swear, right after I did it, I was like, huh. Then Bellinger, I like this. Boom, 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 big players. Bellinger 22 to Rick. Who went to 21 on Bellinger?
Garrett went to 21.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, I wanted Bellinger. I was probably in on the teens somewhere.
And my sheet had him at 20. I
Yeah,
mean, I was in there to some degree. Like, I'm
yeah.
sure I was up there till it was like 17, 18, 19. Then I probably bailed
I probably bet a little
because
earlier.
I didn't have the money.
Yeah,
But I
man.
mean, also, the wild card of Bellinger is he's in fucking Yankee Stadium and he's a left-handed hitter now. Right? I
And
mean,
he's
that's
got those bats too, man. I'm,
and I mean, fuck. Yeah. So that's just a wild card. That's one of those things when I look at the projections, and they're solid. It's like 87 runs, 26 homers, 90 RBI, 14 stolen bases, 256. But I'm like, I don't know. For me, in that lineup, in that stadium, with that short porch, I think he'll easily beat those numbers.
yeah, I think those are low projections, absolutely. And I think it's probably safer to project low with him, but I think he can easily beat those numbers. I would have to agree with you. Then Berger, whoever I did one, I had him last year. Wasn't even one of my eight keepers. I probably should have. We declared the eight before he got traded to Texas. If he would have been traded to Texas
Oh, right.
before we declared the eight, I probably would have had him on my eight, and he may have made my six. But Berger went for 14 to Zach, who bid 13.
I bid 13.
Who?
And me.
Oh, nice. You're in on them too.
But and I had him at $10, you know.
Yeah.
But he also, yes, the exact same thing. I was like, oh, he's going to get more at bats
Yep.
and he's going to a way better lineup and a
Yep.
way better hitter's park.
Yep.
So I just, yeah, and I needed I think at that point, I didn't have any type of first baseman or third baseman.
Right.
So I was just looking for, and he was one of the best guys really left.
He was one of the better, big bangers left, especially with the multi-position and two positions you needed at the time. So I'm sure I was in on Berger up to 8, 9, 10 or somewhere in there. Um, but he went to 14 to Zach, and then Zach back to back. It's Lowe at 15. Brandon Lowe for 15 to Zach, who bid 14.
Brandon Lowe, 15 was Zach. 14 was Tom. Another second place for Tom.
Wow. Gilbert for 24 to Tom. Tom then gets the next player at 24. Who bid 23 on Gilbert? Was it?
Mike.
I was about to say, was it a Seattle guy? Uh, Gilbert went to Tom for 24. Yelich for 18 to G.
Yeah, 18. Let's see
Yeah.
what these Yelich 18.
Yeah. Seems
Yeah,
high.
Zach 17.
That seems high to me.
It does. I mean, I don't know that guy. I mean, I know he'd been playing great again, but seems like his back is a fucking problem.
Yeah, I think it's a problem too. Very surprised about that. Real quick before, let's see, Sasaki went for 11 and then Snell for 18. Bregman for 24. Who won 17 on Snell?
Let's see. I got Snell. Tom went 17.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, Tom and Eddie just in on a lot of the top bids.
And who went 23 on Bregman?
Man, I wanted Bregman, then
Me,
Rick fucked that all up.
me too.
Rick got it for 24.
Yep.
Eddie was second with 23.
Wow, another second. Wow. Where was this Dan you saw? Who was that?
Going by bids, mine are sorted by bids. Yours are
Oh,
sorted by your thing, right?
right,
By
mine by order, right.
players in the nominating order.
Well, let's go.
But I'm just
Let's
looking
go
at,
to your list now of some people in the top that I haven't gone over, because that's really who I want to go over next. Is just people at the top.
all right, well, um, as far as bids, we already went over Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker. We don't need to discuss Mike's funny $43 Alec Boehm bid.
Well, we need to
You know, he had
explain it real
43.
quick. He had $43 left, so it's an
Yeah,
outrageous bid. I mean, I guess there's no reason not to do it. You're not going to keep Bohm, but I mean, he would have had $30 on the table. Realistically, 13 is the highest Bohm's going for,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
he could have just bid one more than what I had left, and he would have got him.
right.
Right,
And
because I was once again, I was waiting. Boehm was clearly the best guy left
yep,
on the list, right?
dual
Like
position too.
20, 20 slots above the next person, you know?
Absolutely.
And so, and I waited and I was like, all right, well, it's now or never, really. And I knew Mike was the only guy that could go above me. And Mike had even said, there's one guy out there that I'm waiting for. I said Alec Boehm for $1, and Mike was like, $43. So that was that.
Yeah, that's like okay, you got him. That was nice.
But
So
as
that was
far
a little.
as,
That was a nice moment at the draft. A little overboard, but
yeah,
I
towards the
appreciated it.
end of the auction.
Yeah.
Corbin Carroll, 32, Acuna, 31, Freeman, 30, Trey Turner, 29, Josh Naylor, 24. I'm sorry, we're going 43, 32, 31, 30. Josh Naylor was, I'm looking in the wrong column, 28.
28.
So just looking here, there's one, two, three guys above 40, five, six guys above 30, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 guys above $20.
Wow.
So if we go down to 20 after Naylor, Pete Alonso went for $26 to Hunter.
Hunter, who bid
And
25? Can you jump
Eddie.
over Eddie for 25? Wow. Then who's next after Alonso?
Seegert and Olson, Bregman, Bellinger, James Wood. When he got nominated, he
Ah,
was one of the last good guys out there.
yep.
Um, and I wanted him.
Me
Like I
too.
was like, if he was the last guy to spend money on, and I didn't
Yep.
have much, but I was like, if I don't do him, who am I spending it on?
Yep.
I went to 22. Hunter went to 21. My sheet had him at 20. Um,
You
very
got him.
similar. O'Neill Cruz was there.
Yeah.
Brian Reynolds.
Yes.
Brian Reynolds. Eddie got for $21, which is high. Zach went to 20.
He's
My
worth
sheet
about
had him at
16. He's worth about 14. Yours has him. How many?
my sheet had him at 14. Yeah,
Yeah, 14. Yeah, he's worth
but
16, I think, or so. But at
I
the
was
time,
willing to go 16, 17.
I think where he went though, once again at the time, is like there's a guy who's not top of the line, but he's pretty steady, and that's what's left out here. Yeah. Go ahead.
Now, as you get down to like $18 winning bids, okay, so you got Schwarber for 18.
Yeah.
Then Yelich went to Garrett for 18. You got Ozuna for 17.
Yeah.
You got Eugenio Suarez for 17. Now,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? Ozuna and Eugenio Suarez both going for the same amount.
I didn't expect that to happen. I forget who was in on Suarez. It's the 16. I was starting to get mad, I think. Someone kept going up one more.
Eddie,
Yeah.
fucking Eddie again.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. Eddie's second place many times in the bidding. I didn't think he'd go for 17. I thought I'd get him for less. I did want him once again where we were at the draft and what I needed. I was like, we talked about in the previous podcast that how listen at the end of the year you look at this guy's stats and if he gives me what he did last year, which is we don't know if he's gonna. But if he gives me what he gave last year, I'm loving it. That's fine for that much. Um, his year was really good last year.
Yep.
Yeah. But I didn't think he'd go for that much. What do you have him on your sheet as?
Well, case in point, you got Ozuna for 17, and my sheet had him for 27, right? You got
Right.
Suarez for 17, and my sheet had him at 10.
At 10. And that's coming off a year where he had 30 homers, 101 ribbies, and 90 runs batting 256, which is great.
Yeah.
But the year
I
before,
mean,
same
and
amount of bats and stuff, he had 22 homers, 96 ribbies, only 68 runs, and 232. So, but he's on a good team. I like him in Arizona. He had a great second half last year. I'm hoping he can repeat his numbers, and so far he started out hot, so I'm liking it.
so just
10.
looking at the bid order here. So you won an $18 bid, you won a $17 bid, you won another $17 bid. Now I'm going to roll off a 17, a 16, and a 16 where you finished second. You didn't
Okay.
get any of these three guys, but
Yeah.
you went to number two on all of them. And that would be, oh, Adolis Garcia of the Rangers,
Yeah.
Mike Trout of the Angels,
Yeah.
and Dylan Cruz of the Nationals.
If you notice, they're all outfielders, and I wanted Dylan Cruz. I felt at that time there was nobody else with like potential 15, 18, 18 potential. Trout. I'm a big fan of Trout for years. I'm always hoping he can be healthy. If he's healthy, I think he'll be good. And who is the first guy?
Adolis Garcia.
Yeah, at the time, once again, I was like, what guy at left can give me 30 homers? And
Right.
right, and I needed outfielders. Like with Josh Lowe getting hurt, I'm a little tight on outfielders now. But so yeah, it's interesting. Seemed to have I had a point in my bidding process where I went up to that amount and then I was done. And I either
Yeah,
got the
and
guy or didn't get the guy.
I kind of fucked it up on Dylan Cruz too, because he was on my team last year and I didn't even put him in my top eight keepers.
Wow.
So
He would have been,
I
probably
fucked him.
cheap too for like $6 or $7 or something.
Yeah, I think, yeah, he was $6 to keep.
Yeah, we all did that. Like I brought up Burger earlier. Who else you got on your list before we go to the next part?
Um, well, it's going down. 15s. Michael Harris was considered Bryce Cam Smith. Willie Adamas. Willie Adamas
Yeah.
for $14. My sheet had him at 14, so it's even. Eddie got him. I'm shocked to see that I was in on that, but I was. I finished second at
You
13,
went to
and I
13 on
am
Adamas. That just shows
and
you
I'm
that shit
vehemently
happens during the draft that you you didn't really want to
because
happen.
yeah, I didn't want that guy playing in that park. I had no way leaving Milwaukee,
Yeah.
going to San Francisco. No way.
I like
But there I
Adamas, but
was.
not in Frisco. I agree.
Yeah. Wyatt Langford, Eddie got him for 14. I think he had him last year.
Yeah, he did.
And I had him at 10. Mike was in. Uh, Jordan Westberg, didn't someone just talk about that
Yes.
today? Like he was
I
asking
think
if we
on the
gave up
thread,
on him.
Hunter brought up how he could have kept him.
Well, Tom got him for 14. Eddie was second at 13.
Eddie second.
And my sheet had him at $8. So,
I'm high on
he's
Westberg. I think
yeah,
he's going to
well,
have a great
yeah.
year.
Colton Cowser, who's now injured today. Thank you. Fuck sliding into first base. Who
Ugh.
does that? I don't get it.
Yeah, when I read what
Um,
happened, I saw what happened. It's like, well, that's what you get for sliding to first base, dude. Come on, he's out 6 to 8
I mean,
weeks.
if you think of all the highlights we've ever watched of someone sliding into first base,
So,
has there ever been a time where you were like, "Fuck yeah, he wouldn't have made it unless he did that"? No, right?
um,
It would.
I don't think so. I don't
I
think.
did.
I'm trying to have some. For whatever reason, I have recollection of once that worked out, but I don't know if it worked out because he slid or it just he slid and it would have worked out anyway. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's
Right.
never a good idea. I don't know. I'm sure he's disappointed in himself also. But no,
Well,
he
I
said he's
wasn't.
done it before,
I wasn't. He was not on my radar, but at the time when he was nominated, he was one of the highest hitters left, still available,
right?
and he was in my price range. Right. Like I had him ranked. I had him rated at $11. And I was like, oh, I can definitely afford this for a guy who's one of the best players still available. It went to 13. I got him. Mike went to 12.
Wow.
Um, Arazarena. Oh, look, you got a Razarena
Yep.
for $13, and Chris went to 12.
Yeah, we're talking.
How
This
do
is
you,
like the second page. I go front and back, and I write everybody down on the draft. And yeah, he's towards the end. And that was my last player. That's how much money I had left. I figured I'd have money. No, I had a few bucks left. I figured I had more. I thought I'd get him for 8 or 9. Chris kept going up. I just had enough money as my last player, so I was like, I went to 13. I didn't even want him, Steve.
Yeah.
Wasn't on my target at all. Wasn't in my sheet written down. He was a player I had last year and drafted, and was so bad in the beginning of the year that I dropped him. I may have traded him actually. I don't remember. And I'm thinking maybe I traded him to Chris, but
I know.
I got
I'm
him
gonna go a
because
few
he
more
was
down, and
left.
yeah, we're gonna finish out these double-digit bids. There's only a few more. Uh, Langoliers went for $12.
Yep.
Chris got him. You were second at 11.
Yep.
Vinny Pasquantino, Eddie got him. Mike was second at 10. Riley Green, Rick got him. Eddie was second at 10. Tovar, Chris got him with an $11 freeze bid. No one else. I think though
Wow.
that wasn't a like he didn't nominate him for 11. It was one of those like it was going up incrementally, and then Chris like bid 11 where like the previous bid was 7 or something, you know.
Right. I
And
think
so
you're
he got
correct.
him. And then Eddie got Logan. Oh no, and then the last Tyler Fitzgerald. Yeah, let's talk about that. Tyler Fitzgerald from the Giants. $11 to Zach. Garrett bid 10.
I
My
was in
sheet
and
had him
I
for
was in up to eight or
3 bucks.
nine probably, or
Really,
even
Tyler Fitzgerald.
maybe 6 or 7. I don't know but I was in the beginning. Well, I think he's going to play. I had him last year on my team. I picked him up, and he had a great last 2 months. He's multi-position, and if he gets his playing time, I believe he's a high average 15, 15 plus player possibility for even for San Francisco. I really enjoyed having him on my team this last month or two of the season. He was great. Uh, but G got him.
Zach, I think here. Yeah, Zach got him, and Garrett went to 10. Zach got him for
Garrett was
11.
second. I had it backwards. Yeah. Yeah, no, I liked him. I was high on him. I was thinking he would be good. Uh, a couple other people. Oh, I wanted to ask you, how much did Robert go for? I don't have it marked down.
Lu Luis Robert,
Yeah, Robert.
he went for $7
Thank you. I didn't have
to
it marked
to,
down.
to Garrett, and Chris bid 6. My sheet had him at 5. Though it does have him projected for a 2020 season, but it
R-
also has him projected for a 60-run, 50 RBI season.
yeah.
So,
So,
so they're
yeah,
just not projecting him to play many games.
yeah, and like polls, those projections are really way off sometimes.
Sometimes they're awful.
Yeah, they're awful. Just before we end the first half of this podcast, I want to say that when Clace went for 12, I was surprised because with Solds, I know he's the best, but still,
Yeah, I didn't see any need for that at all.
no, none at all.
Though
He is the best.
he is still he's still projected. I mean, value wise, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the highest
Reliever. Yeah.
Souls guy there was. Yeah,
12, I
12
believe,
bucks
was
for
the highest reliever. And yeah, I was surprised.
Emmanuel on Taboo Island. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting playing with Souls. That's part one of Fantasy Baseball. Baseball. We'll be back part two as we go over our individual teams, some quotes brought up at the draft, and what we think of different teams. First, we go to our commercial sponsored by Tomato Pie. I don't really know if that's true.
Yeah. You get that special new